So welcome everyone for our next session of Travel Diaries. In this session, Nita Baindur will taking us on a journey through Switzerland, a train journey through Switzerland. And thanks to Nita Baindur because she was busy today and she rescheduled herself and she made herself available to us. So thank you very much, Nita, and happy Father's Day to everyone. And Nita, you can start.
Okay, great. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers who've joined us. And thanks for joining me on a trip around Switzerland by train. So let me, I'll start by giving some tips for, how to do Switzerland by train. So Amika, what we did was we bought a 15-day Swiss travel pass. And this you can buy directly from the Swiss rail authorities, which is sbb.ch. If you go there, you can buy any Swiss travel passes. They're different. You can get them for 3 days. You can get them for 7 days. You can get for, we thought 15 days was just the right time for us to see all of Switzerland. Also, you can get either first class or second class, and second class is also good. We did take first class, when we went, but when we went there, we realized that even second class was, quite good, so I think it's fine to buy a second class pass. It's just that if you, go during the peak tourist season, then the seats might not be available in second class. So, if you go during peak time, then you may want to go, opt for the first class. The best thing about this pass is it's not just a rail pass. It's valid on everything. So you can use it on buses, you can use it on the ferries, you can use it on the lifts that go up. So though it's issued by the Swiss travel pass, it's valid for just about everything. So anywhere you go, you can make use of that pass. The other thing to use this pass, there's a great app. Again, it's offered by the railways themselves, and it's called the SBB app. And this app is just amazing, so you can get so much information on this app. Again, not just for trains, but for buses, ferries, lifts. And it also gives you the connecting time. So, you just put your starting point, like your hotel could be your starting point, and then your destination. It could be a point of interest, or it could be another city, or, whatever, or the airport or station, whatever, wherever you want to go, you put your destination, and it tells you exactly how to get from your hotel to your destination, even if it's a combination of, train and bus and ferry or whatever, it'll tell you exactly. So it'll tell you, walk from your hotel to the bus stop. It'll take you 5 minutes to get there, and then take this bus that comes at 10:15. And then it'll tell you, the connecting train at this, will arrive at this platform, and it'll take you so much time to go from the bus stop to the trains, to that platform. So it's that level of detail, it tells you exactly which platform and how much time it'll take you to get there. And so it's an amazing thing, you just can't survive without that app, especially if you're doing it on your own. The other thing that we did was we bought the traveler's Wi-Fi, and it's specifically for Switzerland. So there are a lot of Wi-Fi's that, you can use all over Europe and things like that, but we got the one specifically for Switzerland, and we bought it from the US, and you collect it at the Zurich airport, or, you can give any other airport. If you're going to some other airport, you can say deliver it there. And then at the airport, they will have a counter where you can go and collect that Wi-Fi. The reason why we use this traveler's Wi-Fi specifically for Switzerland is that it works even in the mountains. So, if you get lost and, you want to look up Google Maps or whatever, this traveler's Wi-Fi will work even in the mountains. So, that's something you absolutely need if you're going hiking in the mountains. And then we used Google Maps for directions, even for trails. It's not just for driving on roads, but even trails are available on Google Maps. So, we used the traveler's Wi-Fi and Google Maps and got around, with the hiking. For hotels, we did all our hotels through booking.com. You can use even Travelocity or whatever, but booking.com, I find that when it comes to Europe, they have the best, options for Europe. So we did all our booking on booking.com. And again, the reviews are very helpful. They're always genuine customers, that they make sure that it's someone who's booked previously gives the review. So, and we picked places, again, that had a rating of 9 or above, so 9 or 10, on a scale of 10. So we picked hotels through booking.com. Then when it comes to panoramic trains, most of them you don't require, advanced reservation, but there were a couple of panoramic trains where you do need to book seats in advance, especially during the rush, the peak tourist season. So there was, I think, 1 or 2 trains that we reserved seats in advance. You can buy a SIM card at Zurich airport for your phone after you get there, and that's what we did. And then, for each town that we visited, just Google for free self-guided walking tours. You don't have to pay, a guide to take you around and go in a group or whatever. I think the best way to do it is do the self-guided walking tour, and that's what we did. For each town, you can Google and find a tour that tells you exactly lane by lane how to get around and, see all the points of interest. So we did those. Again, that just means a lot of walking, which, both, fortunately, me and my husband both enjoy walking. So, we did almost 15,000 minimum every day, sometimes up to 27,000 steps a day. The one site I would recommend for a trip to Switzerland is myswissalps.com. And this website is run purely by, people who just love Switzerland, and it's free. They just give you information. You can ask any question you want. You'll get a reply within 24 hours, they'll reply. So they're basically volunteers who just love Switzerland and want to share their, joy of being, Swiss people with others. And so if you want to ask them to suggest an itinerary for you, they'll do that. If you want to say, hey, I'm going to this place, can you recommend a restaurant? They'll do that. So it's just plenty of useful information on myswissalps.com. Again, those of you who heard my driving trip to Italy know that, when we travel to Europe, or for that matter, anywhere, we don't have any check-in bags. We've learned to carry just one carry-on bag and a backpack, and that got us through this 2-week trip in Switzerland. Ours wasn't quite 2 weeks. I would say it was more like, I think, 12 or 13 days. And then, going and coming was another day, 2 days. So that's how we got the 15 days. Again, just having carry-on bags was made traveling by train really easy. So, we just picked that bag and, got in, got out in quickly. So I would say those are the tips that I would, suggest for anyone that's planning a train trip in Switzerland. Now, this is how we got this was the main panoramic trips that we took. And so we landed in Zurich, and, we flew into Zurich and flew out of Zurich, but we didn't stay there as soon as we landed. The day we landed, we took a train to Lucerne. So, as you can see there, it says 1 here. That was our first stop, to Lucerne. And then from Lucerne, we went to Lugano, which is, at the border with Switzerland. It's they speak Italian here. So in Switzerland, they speak 3 languages. There's French, German, and Italian. So depending on which region you're in, that's the local language. But we never really had any problems with language. Everybody spoke English everywhere. So, you can get along fine anywhere. Lugano is, very Italian, and, we'll come to the photos, but it's right at the border of Italy. So that was our second stop. From Lugano, we went to St. Moritz. That was our third stop. From St. Moritz, we went to Zermatt. That's the fourth stop. From Zermatt to Montreux, and then from Montreux to Lausanne, sixth stop, and then to Geneva was the 7th, and then to Interlaken, 8th, and Bern. We didn't really stay over in Bern, but we spent an entire day there. It's a beautiful city, highly recommend going there. And then we went back to Zurich and, spent another day, a couple of days there before flying out. So those were the main trains. But in addition to this, we also took, smaller trips. So for example, from St. Moritz or, from Montreux or whatever, you can take smaller trips. Again, that 15-day rail pass covers everything because it's unlimited travel. So, you don't have to decide this in advance. Once you get there, you can take those smaller trips to wherever you want. So let me go to the next slide. Now, these are the trains that we took, and, the panoramic trains are the ones that you see in red. So when we went from Lucerne to Fluelen, it was a ferry ride. Then from Fluelen to Tirano, it was the Gotthard Express, and which is, a panoramic train. And then from Tirano to Lugano, it was a bus. Lugano to St. Moritz is the Bernina Express. St. Moritz to Zermatt, it was the Glacier Express. And then Zermatt to Montreux, there are several trains, you can take any of them. Montreux to Lausanne, Lausanne to Geneva, and Geneva to Gruyères. Gruyères is, you may have heard of the Gruyères cheese. It's a beautiful little village which makes a lot of, cheese there. And, that was a short trip we took from Geneva. And then from Geneva to Interlaken, Golden Pass. And this was the train where we did have to book seats in advance. So, we did need reservations. For most others, we didn't have to reserve. Other than the Tirano to Lugano bus, again, we had to reserve book the seats for that bus in advance because there are a limited number of buses. And then if you're not able to find, you'll have to take a taxi. So fortunately, we were able to book those bus tickets as well from here in the US. And then Interlaken, we made short trips to Lauterbrunnen and Mürren and Wengen, all places I highly recommend. There's several trains and buses that can take you there. You can pick whether you want to go by bus or by train. And then Interlaken to Bern, again, several trains. Bern to Zurich, several trains. And, actually, when when we landed in Zurich, at the airport, there's a train station right there. So we didn't even, go to a hotel at Zurich. Right after landing in Zurich, we took a train to Lucerne and got there. Okay, let me take you to the photos now. So can you see the photos?
Yes, Nita, this time.
Okay. So this is in Lucerne. There's a huge lake there, Lake Lucerne. So we went there, and just a minute. Sorry about that. This is Lake Lucerne again. You know, it's the famous bridge there. You know, many of you who visited Switzerland in Lucerne would have seen this Chapel Bridge. That's the famous Chapel Bridge in Lucerne. And then there are restaurants right along, you know, the lake. Plenty of restaurants where, you know, you can pick your cuisine, you know, right from Ethiopian to Swiss to Italian, or, you know, even Indian. You can get any type of food there along the lake. This is again the famous Chapel Bridge. These are hotels along the lakefront. And this is the Lion Monument in Lucerne. And as you can see, you know, this was the village along the lake when we took the ferry from Lucerne to Fluelen. The ferry takes you along these little villages along the lake. These lakes are huge. So, you know, you can see plenty of villages as you go making your way. And the water is just blue, beautiful. There's Ashwin, you know, that's the ferry. Ashwin's taking pictures. Again, little villages on the lake. This was a village called Beckenried. Another village there. This is Fluelen. So we got off the ferry at Fluelen, and we went to a cute little Italian deli and had our lunch there. Very small village, you know. Fluelen is just, I would say, maybe 15 restaurants around there, and, you know, you always have a church in every village, so you can see the church there. That's the railway station. And this is where we boarded the Gotthard Express, which was one of the panoramic trains. That's the Gotthard Panorama Express. And as you can see, you know, these panoramic trains are, you know, they have these huge glass windows that go right across. These were little kids who were swinging by, you know, from the trees near the lake and having a great time. This is the Lugano, village of Lugano, which is, you know, very Italian. And along the lake there, you know, there's all these little homes have restaurants. And the only way to get to any of these restaurants is by boat, you know. So you have, or there is a bus, but then it involves a lot of walking down to these restaurants. So the easiest way is to take one of the ferries that goes around the lake. There are lots of ferries that go around the lake at pretty good frequencies. So, you know, you just wait for the next ferry and go to your restaurant or wherever you've booked a reservation for dinner. Then the next day we took a cruise around the lake. Again, this is, as I said, it's included in the Swiss Rail Pass. You don't have to pay extra. And you don't, you know, we don't have to make any reservations for these ferries. They, like I said, there were so many throughout the day that you could just get onto the next one. That's the village again. There was this little village called Gandria. So, you know, we had dinner in this village. We took the ferry and went there. This is just one of the bank buildings, Credit Suisse bank buildings in Lugano. It was, you know, every balcony was covered with red flowers, so it just looked very pretty. That's again Gandria. This was the hotel that we had booked. It was really nice. As I said, we did all our booking on booking.com. You know, it was very close to the downtown area and very close to the railway as well. So it didn't involve us lugging our bag or anything. It was, and you know, we had small bags. So we just walked from the railway station to the hotel, and you know, we would go down. So you can either you could go down to the downtown area from our hotel, either take the steps, or there was a, you know, cable car that you could take going down or coming up back again. You could take the steps or the cable car. That's again another view of that lake. From here, we took the Bernina Express to Tirano. Back to, you know, to go back, we took the Bernina Express. And as you know, this is a typical view that you see when you're in the train. You know, green valleys and little villages, and there's always a church in that, you know, in the center there, as you can see here. So this is a typical view that you will see from the train. There's some more of, you know, villages that you'll pass by. Lots of greenery because the train's almost year round. That's a view of our train from where we were sitting, as you know, it was curving around. That's the view. This was a place called Mira Lago in, you know, on the way. This is the same place, Mira Lago, of another town on the way. Oops, I think I missed. This was a town called Poshiavo, which was actually very close to Lake Como. And then we finally got, you know, Bernina Express, we got off at St. Moritz. So from St. Moritz, we did a lot of hiking. You know, we were there for about 3 days in St. Moritz, and every day we take, you know, go on hikes. And, you know, from one day we went to this place called Motas Muragal. It's spelled MUTTASMURAGL, Motas Muragal. And to get here, you had to first, you know, I mean, of course, from our hotel, we took a bus and a train, and then, you know, finally came to this place where we had to take a cable car up the mountain, up the one way. And then on the other way down, we hiked all the way down. But between the place where we started and, you know, the place where we had to hike down, it was a long hike, you know, on the top of the mountain. As you can see, this is one of the trails that, you know, we had to go after we got off from the cable car. And just beautiful views of the valley below. We met another Japanese couple on the trail who took pictures of us, and we took pictures of them. This is a view again from the top of the mountains when you're hiking, looking down on the valley. That's another view of the trail there, as you can see, and the snow-capped mountains. So that, you know, in some places there are landslides and rocks that are falling down. So they have tunnels so that you can, you know, you're not at risk of being under a rock hitting you. So this was one of those such tunnels where, you know, because of the landslide, you walk through the tunnel. And you have to dress in layers, because though we went in summer, when you're at the bottom of in the valley, we didn't need any jackets. But as we went up, it got so cold that I had to wear 3 layers of jackets, so it was pretty cold up there. That's more beautiful views.
Hey, Nita, just curious, how did you manage to take 2 jackets for each person and, other clothes in a stroller?
Yeah, we did. I mean, we were hand carrying, one of the jackets, right? Like while flying, and then 2 more we had, managed to put it in our backpacks.
Excellent. That's a wonderful skill to have.
Yeah, it's not easy. It may not seem easy at first. I know, because we're used to carrying those big bags, but once you get used to it, there's no going back. Now we will never have a check-in bag ever again. We've learned to pack for just carry-ons now.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's more, that's the trail there. Here on the right, lower right side, you can see the trail. These, as you can see, these villages here. Snow-capped peaks there. That's more of the trail that we were going on. Yeah, and the hotel gave us an umbrella. We weren't carrying umbrellas, so the hotel said take it in case it rains. Luckily, it didn't rain, but we had an umbrella as well. That was this beautiful town, that we saw on the way. I forget the name, but from this Motas, yeah, I think it was Pontresina. That was the name of the place. Once we got down again from the hike, we came down to this village called Pontresina, and very picturesque with streams and flowers and everything. It was beautiful. It just so happened that it was a Sunday and almost everything was closed, but just other than 1 or 2 restaurants were open, but otherwise it was a real sleepy village with nobody up and about when we got there. Sorry, I don't know what happened here. Let me get back to. Okay, I think I was here. Yeah, so luckily there was a couple of restaurants open, and the food was so good. I don't know if the food was really good or whether we were just hungry and tired after that really long hike, but it was one of the best meals we've had. That's the village, and that, as you can see, it was a Sunday. There's no one up and about. And that's the cable car that when we used to come up the mountain. And this is back at St. Moritz. We came back. Again, it was possible to take a bus back, but we decided we'd walk. So we actually hiked through a forest, which was pretty. For me, Ashwin was fine, but I thought I was pretty scared because there weren't too many people. In fact, we hardly came across any people on that trail. It was through a forest. And but there were signs that told us which direction we needed to go in to get to St. Moritz. And we also, we had the backup Wi-Fi that would tell us on Google Maps as well. So it was finally okay. But we walked back from Pontresina to St. Moritz. While going, it was a combination of bus and train, but coming back, we walked back all the way. That's the St. Moritz Lake. Then from St. Moritz to Zermatt, we took the Glacier Express. And, again, you'll see similar views, the churches and little villages and a lot of greenery. And, the food on this train was really good. And actually, I was surprised that they had an Indian menu on the Glacier Express. So that's the inside of the train there. But, on the menu, they had Indian food, which was really good. That's the Glacier Express. There, I actually have a picture of the Indian food. It was, they had pulao and chicken curry and chana masala. So, yeah, so all these panoramic trains, they serve you meals on board, so you don't have to worry about food. They have vegetarian, non-vegetarian. Again, another village that we stopped at. These are all taken from inside the train. Yeah, this is another picture from inside, taken from inside the train. Then we got to Zermatt, and this is Zermatt. This is the view from our hotel. And the hotel we stayed at was actually owned by an Indian hotel. And they had an Indian restaurant on site as well. And that's the Matterhorn, the mountain. This is Zermatt, and again, as I mentioned, we did self-guided walking tours, and which you can, just Google for self-guided tour of Zermatt and get the lane by lane directions of how to go around, so that you see everything that's interesting in the town. So that's what we did in Zermatt. That's the Matterhorn again, peak. You can go all the way to the top, but we hiked up to here, like halfway through here, as you can see, we didn't go to the top. That's the town of Zermatt. Beautiful town. That's again the view from our room. Beautiful flowers everywhere, very colorful. That's the Matterhorn. That's on the trail to go, it was called the Edelweiss Matterhorn Trail that we hiked. This is again on the self-guided tour that we did going around the village. Beautiful view of the Matterhorn from, one of the alleys that we were on. This is again on the trail to Matterhorn. That's the hike that we went to, the Edelweiss Trail. Then from there, we went to Montreux, and this is Chateau de Chalon in Montreux. That's inside the castle there. That's another view of the castle. That's a view from one of the castle windows of the town in Montreux, the Montreux main area. The castle was in the middle of the lake, and the main area was a distance away. You can take a train to get to the castle and then go in there. Again, the entry to the castle was included in the Swiss Rail Pass. We didn't have to pay extra. That was the good thing about that Swiss Rail Pass. Included practically everything. I don't recall paying for anything, not for entry to any place or, other than I think there was some private, like that Gruyere cheese place. That's where, yes, to get into that cheese factory, we had to pay. But other than that, most other places of interest, entry was included in the Swiss Rail Pass. That's inside the castle there. That's another view of the castle from outside. This is along the lakefront. You can take a walk, and it's just gorgeous. They've done such a great job on either side. There are lots of colorful flowers. And there are restaurants and places that serve ice cream, so you can go biking, you can walk. It's just a beautiful lakefront in Montreux. See, as I mentioned, look at the flowers there, just gorgeous. And this is a place where Freddie Mercury of Queen, he and his band Queen they have a they spent quite some time there, so they have a museum dedicated to them. This is the view from our hotel room. You could see the Montreux area and the lake. This is Geneva Old Town. From Montreux, we went to Geneva. Again, we took a train, and there were vineyards on either side. As you get closer to Lake Geneva near Lausanne, there were lots of vineyards. More vineyards. That's Lausanne. Then near Lausanne, there was another town called Uchi. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, but I think that's how it, it was a strange name, but this was another town that we took a short trip to. We had dinner at this place, lots of restaurants here, as you can see. But it was a nice place to go out in the evening and have dinner. So we did that while we were in Geneva. That's the same town. I think they had the Winter Olympics here in this place once. This is Old Town Geneva, lots of churches. Some murals there. This was a garden along the lakefront, Lake Geneva. Again, us doing the self-guided walking tour of Old Town Geneva. That's Lake Geneva. That's one of the cathedrals, Saint Pierre de Geneva. So there are lots of these, cobblestone alleys. If you do the self-guided tour, it'll take you down a lot of these alleys. This is Gruyere, the village that's famous for Gruyère's cheese. We took a train from Geneva to get here. And there's also another train, which people who have little kids might enjoy. It's called the chocolate train. And it's a quaint little train. We didn't take that one, but to go around this area, there's also a train called the chocolate train that you can take. This was a castle, Chateau de Gruyères. From the top of so we hiked from the railway station all the way up to the hilltop. And there's, from there you can get a view of the village below. That's the Chateau de Gruyères. And that's a view of the village from the chateau. Another view of the church. That's the village down there. And this is another view from the chateau. And at this place, they do tell you the history, and there's a short movie that they show you. Again, entry to this castle and the movie and all that's included in the in your 15-day rail pass. You don't have to pay extra. That's the trail that we took, to go from the railway station up all the way to the top of the hill. Lots of farmhouses. That's the cheese factory there. As I mentioned, this was a private place. We did have to pay to get a tour of the cheese factory. That's the cheese factory. That's then from here, from Montreux, we took the Golden Pass panoramic train to Interlaken. And this is on board the Golden Pass train. The inside of the train. Then we came to this, from Interlaken, again, we took a few small trips to other towns. And this town, again, was a really nice place. It's called Lauterbrunnen. And it's a little village which is surrounded by, mountains, and there are lots of waterfalls all around. So it was a gorgeous place. And we took a cable car up the hill, and this is a view from as we were going up the cable car. This is from the cable car as we were going up. And this was another place where there were, lots of waterfalls. And these are, huge waterfalls that are gushing inside the caves, inside the, mountain. So you walk along, a passageway that they've created with lights and all that. So you can go across inside the mountain, and you can see these waterfalls in there. This place was called Tramelbach Falle, the Tramelbach Falls. Here, as you can tell that the water was really gushing. This is inside the mountain. You can see how they've created, a walkway and steps to, find your way inside the caves. And this was the place where Interlaken, where there is a statue of Yash Chopra. So, like every Indian, we had to pay our respects to Yash Chopra, go there. Then Bern, as I mentioned, this was like one of my favorite places to visit, the old town Bern. Along the river here, you can see, these red roofs, tiled roofs, and the blue water just made for a real beautiful, colorful picture. Again, we did a self-guided tour of Old Town Bern. There was a farmer's market going on there, which was a lot of fun. And then there was, at this farmer's market, we got that raclette, which was really good, which is made of potatoes. You can see the red tile roofs there. Just beautiful town. This was Einstein's home, where he wrote the theory of relativity. So Einstein House. And this was a clock tower. Then we took a trip to another little village. It was called Wengen. And this, Wengen, the railway station, if you see, it's, that's probably the smallest railway station I've ever seen. I'll show you in a while. But this here that you see is the mailman going around delivering mail in this little village. So that was the train. We actually hiked, but you could take a train. So this, this is the trail that we took to go to Wengen. So this was the railway station. So that's all there is to it, that little platform. And then to get back from there, to Lucerne, we were wondering whether the train would actually stop, but it did. But that's all there is, that little platform is the railway station. There, you see us boarding the train there. And then finally we came back to Zurich, and that was our last stop. The first day it was raining, pouring quite a bit. Again, self-guided tour of Zurich. This you can, this we went to a spot which was pretty high up, to take a view of, get a view of the old town Zurich. And then the rest is actually, we got back to London from there, and so I won't go through this. But Preeti, should I go to the Africa tour?
Yes, Nita, if you can, please, and thank you.
Okay, great. So let me actually go back to the. So yeah, so since we have time, I'll just do a little bit of our Africa safari trip that we did. So we included both Kenya and Tanzania in the trip. And let me, oops. So, we did a 2-week trip, 1 week in, I think, not quite 1 week, maybe 5 days in Kenya and, more time in Tanzania, actually. So we started off, we landed in Nairobi, and then from Nairobi, we went first to Masai Mara. And then from Masai Mara, we went to Serengeti. And then from Serengeti, we went to Ngorongoro Crater, and then to Lake Manyara, and then Amboseli, and then back to Nairobi. So, that's the trip we took, and and then, oh yeah, at the end, we went to Mount Kenya. But most of it was by 4x4 vehicles, from one place to another. But there are also these small private, planes, charter planes that people take to go from one reserve to another, from one park to another. You can go by the charter planes, but we didn't trust them. And, we actually went with Ashwin's IIT batchmates. So, there were 7 couples, 14 of us. And so we took these 4x4 vehicles. So the best time to visit Africa is June to October, because that's when you see the migration of the zebras and the wildebeest from Masai Mara to Serengeti, and then back, they go back to Masai Mara. So that's the best time to go. They say don't wear black or blue, because that apparently attracts those tsetse flies, whose bite can cause sleeping fever. So we generally stuck to, earth colors or green, khakis, or earth tones to blend with the landscape. Also, don't wear white or black. Wear cotton with long sleeves to avoid insect bites. Take malaria tablets. We were taking them right through, and then before you go, take the yellow fever shots. Of course, don't forget your binoculars, and invest in a good camera and a lens. Ashwin bought a, special lens for taking pictures of the animals there before the trip. And then, be ready to get up early for the, early morning and late evening drives, because that's when a lot of the animals are out hunting. So let me take you to the photos. So this is, all in Masai Mara. The very first time you see the giraffes and the very first time you see the zebras, you get really excited. And then, day 2 and day 3, you've seen so many. This was, early on when we saw the lion there, and this is the cheetah. And, I learned that the difference between cheetahs and leopards is that the cheetah has this black tear, as you can see down the eye. It looks like a tear going down, and apparently, the black tear, the cheetah has that black tear, leopards don't. And cheetahs can't climb trees like leopards, and cheetahs are smaller and sleeker. But otherwise, you generally can't tell the difference. And there are lots of very unusual birds. I didn't really note down all the names, but lots of zebras at the time we went. The migration was just beginning. So here, this animal, it's called a topi, T-O-P-I. And this is, the zebra next to it. These are Thompson gazelle. This is another topi. This was a spotted hyena. And here is a leopard sitting in the tree. And I will show you, this leopard had just eaten its meal, a gazelle that it had killed. And I'll show you that gazelle as well. So here you can see the gazelle. Most of it is eaten. This is, the leg hanging down, most of it. And the lion, the leopard sitting there, with a big belly. And, the leopard, had just eaten it and is feeling, I guess, sleepy and full. Yeah.
Nita, amazing you captured this, Nita. Amazing.
Huh?
It's amazing that you captured all this.
Well, Ashwin did go, not me.
Yeah, very, very nice.
Yeah. No, we were lucky to be able to see all these things,
Yeah, it's very unusual to be
Yeah,
at the...
and luckily we got to see, although I'll show you more, there were 2 lions fighting over a wildebeest,
Wow.
So this is the leopard. This there, you can see it's dead. It's up there, but most of it was eaten already. And you can see the face there. It's hanging from the tree. That's a tiger, a lioness. This is the place. So, throughout every park that we went to, we stayed with this Aga Khan chain. It's called Serena Hotels. And they were really nice. And, every place, they were made to blend with the landscape. So, very well designed, all these hotels. Every hotel was different, but really nice. Apparently, the Aga Khan owns this chain. The pool, the hotel had a beautiful pool. And, most of these places, they had Indian food in the buffet. Saw this bird with a really long tail. This was an impala. You know, the guides there, they used to joke, they say we call them McDonald's because, you know, right on their butt here, it looks like a M, you know, like the McDonald's M. More of the impalas. This is some topis here on the left, and then the gazelle, Grant gazelles on the right. And this topi is standing on an anthill. You know, you can see this little hill here. You see a lot of these little hills, which are anthills. Ostrich. And there's the cheetah with the tear, as I mentioned, the black tear. And you can see these from pretty close by, you know, I mean, the 4x4s, they're open on the top. So you can stand and, you know, stick your head out and look around. And here there's two, you know, if you see the second one is down here at the bottom of the photo and the first one is sitting up. Another lion. They come pretty close to the, you know, your vehicle. This was a crown crane. It's called that because of, you know, this thing on its head, which looks like a crown. This was another colorful bird that we saw. I don't know what the name was. This is the hotel again. Another bird. This was a mongoose. An alligator, and I mean a crocodile. And you know, this crocodile, it looked like it was smiling. Giraffes. And here, like I said, I thought it was laughing. For some reason, giraffes were my favorite animals from this entire trip. More. Giraffe with its baby. Elephants. These were those, what I said, they call them McDonald's, impalas. So this was, you know, and for dinner, the tour agent, the travel agent arranged for us to have dinner at night in a Masai Mara village. So that's where we had dinner out in the open with the Masai Mara. So that's Ashwin and his friends and all the wives. Yeah, so let me go now to the next park, which is, so this one is Serengeti. Oh no, it's Goro, sorry, I opened the Gorongoro. So this is, Gorongoro is a crater. And so this is inside the crater, you know, so the Masai Mara have taken their, you know, cattle for grazing inside the crater. And the crater is huge. So, you know, if you're at one end, you can't see the other end of the crater. So, And all the animals there are sort of, locked inside the crater. So you get to see a lot of wildlife for sure. There's no way for them to go out. So this is the acacia tree, which, you'll see plenty of these trees in there, both in Serengeti and in the Ngorongoro crater. That's a Maasai cow herd. So apparently, they get dowry in the form of herds of cattle. So that's the crater. As you can tell, this is on the floor of the crater. It's huge. You just can't see where it ends. That's wild warthogs. That's another impala. That's the wildebeest, and you'll see a lot more of those because as I said, the migration had started. Of course, the migration doesn't involve these because these are inside the crater, but it's the ones in Masai Mara and Serengeti that the zebras and wildebeest do the migration. A little baby zebra. That's a wildebeest there. This is the wildebeest, zebras, and impalas all together in one picture. And a topi as well. This was a herd of wildebeest inside the crater. They're pretty ugly, animals. So there's two topis having a fight there. So you can see a hyena here, a zebra, and wildebeest. Impalas. These are the Thompson gazelle. So they have this black stripe on the side, and that's how you can tell the difference between the impala and the Thompson gazelle. The impalas don't have this black stripe on the side. This was another beautiful bird. More colorful birds. Unfortunately, I didn't make a note of, the names of those birds. A baby baboon getting a ride on its mother's back. Elephants. There's a little baby elephant here, you can see, under its mother's belly. Another baby elephant. Cute. Okay, now this is just adults only picture. So our guide said, he was joking about this elephant with the fifth leg, as he called it. This was another of those acacia trees. This pair, of lions, they were pretty young apparently. A brother and a sister pair. lots of wildebeest. You can see. The crown cranes. This was, yeah, Ashwin was able to get this while it was flying. So very beautiful bird. Another one. And just as it landed. Thompson gazelle. So, about zebras, as apparently they, many times they stand this way, one facing this way and one facing the other to protect each other, so that basically saying, hey, I got your back, kind of, so you'll see them standing crisscross like that, one facing in one direction and the other facing the other direction. See here, a lot of times you'll see them standing one here and one facing that way. Hyena. Hippos. Warthog. Flamingos. And all this is in Ngorongoro. Pelicans. Crown cranes. It's two of them flying. Another pelican there. Yeah, so you get to see a variety of birds also there. I mean, it's not just the animals. An ostrich and crown cranes. And this was our hotel in Ngorongoro. Yeah, this is, one of the rooms that we stayed in. This was a village in the crater, Maasai village, that we visited. This is the one, a hut that the Maasai live in. A little Maasai kid. And they were selling a lot of stuff there, their crafts and arts and crafts. And this was a school that they had, very cute. Maasai school. And they were showing us how they start a fire by rubbing sticks together. And then finally, I'll show you one more of the Serengeti. Sorry. And this is in Serengeti Park, sunrise. As I said, that you have to get up early or go late for late drives to see some of the big cats. Thompson gazelle and the impalas. Here again, you see the zebras standing, you know, watching each other's back. There you can see the migration. The guide called this a sausage tree. And vultures waiting for, you know, to eat some of the prey that the lions leave behind. Yeah, this one came really close to our van, you know, this lioness. There were quite a few in the bushes. As you can see, you know, there were at least 6 of them hiding there because there was a group of zebras close by and they were waiting to attack them. Vultures. This was the one that came close to our van. Spotted hyena. Yeah. She's right next, this lioness is right next to our 4x4. So then suddenly the zebras started running. You know, these 4 lionesses were chasing them. Here you can see them running. And, you know, all of them, it was really hard to watch this because most of the zebras were able to get away, except for one which ran in the opposite direction. You know, all the zebras ran in one direction and one ran in the opposite direction, and that was it. You know, I mean, the lioness went and got him. Here, the wildebeest and zebras, part of the migration. You know, when you sleep at night, you can hear them galloping. You know, in your hotel, you can hear these hundreds or thousands of zebras and wildebeest galloping in one direction. And a lot of times, you know, when they're crossing these rivers and all, there are crocodiles waiting to attack them in the river. You can see the herds in the back. So apparently this is a hippo which was out during the day, but you know, what the guide told us is that generally during the day they are in the water and then they come out at night, but this one was out during the day. So here you can see a lot of hippos in the water. That same pool with the hippos. And these two were fighting for quite some time. Now you can see the M there and why they call them McDonald's. The impalas with an M-shaped arc on their butt. Yeah, you could take a balloon ride as well over the Serengeti plains if you want to. Part of the migration, the wildebeest and zebras. So these were the two lions that were fighting over a wildebeest. And they were like, you know, neither of them was ready to let it go. They were just, you know, both of them were equally strong. And we waited for like, I think at least 15 minutes, and neither of them was willing to let go. They're still fighting there. And this vulture was waiting patiently to see if, you know, it could get a piece of that wildebeest after the lions had fought over it. They're still fighting over it. And then, just as we were watching, this vulture swooped in to get a bite of the meat. This was, you know, pretty sad. It was a garbage bag, and somehow these lionesses found it. And you know, generally these parks were pretty clean, but somehow there was this plastic bag that they had found, and you know, they were holding on to it almost like a security blanket. Yeah, there's this leopard in a tree. There were two actually. All these vultures. Hyena.
Yeah.
Topi. This was a dead wildebeest. It was. Wild buffalo. Plenty of elephants. And this was again, you know, our hotel in Serengeti. So as you can see, you know, this was I mean, I would recommend the Serena group of hotels. Every place, they had really good rooms and food was good as well. Yeah, that's one of the rooms. That was a cute monkey there. Lots of hippos. Crocodile. And that was the sunset. Yeah, so I mean that's most of it. There are a lot more pictures that I have of Lake Manyara and Mount Kenya and all, but I mean I think once you've sort of seen these, you've probably seen most of it. So that's it. I mean, if you have questions, let me know, or
How long was this trip?
It was 2 weeks.
And do you go every day to this?
Yeah, for the drives, right? Yeah, they take you. I think we did at least like 3 drives a day. Yeah, and then they bring you back for lunch, back to your hotel, lunch and dinner.
Okay.
Nita, thank you. I relived my trip thanks to you. Africa. It's less than a year since we went. You have some identical pictures like yours. Amazing. Thank you. About the hyenas, it was funny. They used to wait in hiding before a kill, and sometimes they would drive the cats away and then take over the whole.
Yeah.
So me too, Nita. Africa is one of my favorite. I've been twice. I don't get tired of it. It brought so many memories. Sanjay and all of us was actually supposed to go right after the July Sammelan, me for the 3rd time.
Wow.
But we canceled that trip. Now looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, I would have been there in another 2 weeks. But amazing. Africa, I love Africa. It's just amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, between Kenya and Tanzania, I've read different things. Like, I mean, some people say that the infrastructure in Kenya is better, but we actually found the reverse. We thought that the roads in Tanzania were in much better condition than the roads in Kenya.
Yeah.
No, overall, they say Tanzania is the better of the two.
Yeah, that's
it just
what
depends.
We thought.
It depends on season, which way the migration is. I think that kind of makes you decide where you want to go, or you just go both.
I was about to say the same thing. And each one has different landscape and stuff, so it's a different experience. I can't pick one over the other, honestly.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've done South Africa. I did South Africa, Botswana, Namibia as well. There, the infrastructure is better than Kenya and Tanzania, but the volume of animals you see is so much less. So you have the advantage of Kenya and Tanzania, and you're really not missing any infrastructure. I mean, you're not missing anything much because it's just that places to stay and all are newer, roads are better. That's about it.
Yeah. The other thing I want to mention is we didn't do it, but they have these, you can stay in actually tents, and these are not tents which are, these are glamping, like they call it glamping. So these are, 5-star tents that you can stay in with, the bathroom and all that is attached, and, they're 5-star place.
And they also have tree houses. We stayed in one of the places. We stayed in a tree house as well.
We stayed in houses. And
also the hotels there, I mean, all of them I think have very good infrastructure there. The rooms are very clean and maintained well, and they blend with the landscape.
Yes.
Yeah.
But food in South Africa, Botswana, Namibia is not that great. I mean, it's good, but you get, how you want your spicy food. We barely found one bottle of peri-peri on every trip, and it would get over. Kenya, Tanzania food is amazing because you get every variety: India, Chinese, local, European, everything.
Yeah, they had Indian food everywhere because I think there are a lot of Gujaratis there, right?
They're owned by Gujaratis. They own almost all of them. Many of them owned by Gujaratis.
Yeah.
I have a question, Nita. Sorry, not Africa, but back to Switzerland. You talked about the first class and the second class. Now, other than actually making reservations and not getting a place, what is the difference between the trains? Because I've done shorter journeys, but it'll be lovely to take a long trip like this and do it by train. What's the difference between first class and second class? Other than
I said, it's just nicer seats,
Better service too. I mean, Yeah.
But like I said, the second class wasn't bad at all, but like
Yeah.
sometimes we in a rush to get onto the train, we couldn't find the first class, we didn't know exactly where the first class was. So we would just jump into any place that, we could get in. And then, they turned out to be second class and they were just as good,
Great, great, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I would highly recommend doing, if you go to Switzerland, don't drive. Initially we were considering doing a road trip. And so I was reading up a lot and, as that website, My Swiss Alps and all, I was asking them. And they said, Switzerland, you should do it by train. And they actually recommended the itinerary to me as well, though they gave it in the reverse order. And then when I sort of looked at the timings and all, I realized that doing it in this order was a lot better. It gave us more time in Lugano. If I'd done what they had said, I didn't have enough time in Lugano. So, but that website, myswissalps.com, anyone who's planning to go there, use that heavily. They'll give you any information you need. And definitely buy the 15-day rail pass.
Thanks a lot.
And use the SBB app on your phone. You can't do without it.
Hey, Nita, this is Vinay here. It was a great presentation. One quick question on the Africa, Kenya. Did you have to go through some kind of immunization?
We took yellow fever,
okay.
And then we were taking malaria tablets every day.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And this like I said, this Africa tour, I didn't arrange it. We went with Ashwin's batchmates. So one of them reached out to some Indian travel agent and in Nairobi, and he had done the entire booking for us.
Oh, okay, nice.
I have the name of the travel agent there. But yeah, he was a Gujarati guy who arranged both the Kenya, Tanzania, the hotels, the 4x4s, everything he had arranged.
Nice.
We also went to Mount Kenya on this trip, and that's more like a resort. It's not, there's no safaris there. Yeah, it's just a resort to stay and enjoy, play golf or whatever.
Fantastic, thanks.
And Nita, if I may say something for the mosquitoes, what we did also was we wore clothes that were treated with permethrin.
Yeah.
That just kept the mosquitoes away, so.
Yeah, for some reason, mosquitoes didn't bother us much.
Yeah.
It was, we went in May, end of May, early June is when we went. It was more early June. And first, I don't know, the weather was just great. Like, it's in the southern hemisphere, so the seasons are exactly opposite, right? So May, June is more like November, December for us. So
same for us in September, but in certain places we did encounter, so we were wearing those treated clothes, and so we never really got it.
Yeah, I went in August and we never actually got bitten anywhere, and I get bitten a lot, which is very surprising. We didn't get bitten.
Yeah, neither did we. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were wearing long sleeves, just cotton.
Yeah, same here. And no black. No, you mentioned all that. Yeah.
Nita, for the Africa countries that you visited, did you need a visa?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so. I don't remember.
Yeah, you do. You do require a visa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's better to get the visa from here because my cousin and his wife joined us from St. Louis, and they didn't have time. So they got it over there, and they had to pay almost 3 times what we paid per person at the border. So it's better to get it here before you leave.
Anything else?
Yeah, Nita, how long was your safari? Like how many days?
2 weeks. It was 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it wasn't just safari. We also went to Mount Kenya, so total it was 2 weeks.
2 weeks. But
Yeah.
beautiful pictures, huh? Lovely. I mean, awesome.
Yeah. Like I said, Ashwin got a special lens. So, the photos were really good.
Yeah, yeah. But really beautiful. I mean, you getting those pictures is difficult, right? I mean, of animals, like you have to really focus and get those.
Yeah.
Very nice. Beautiful.
Yeah, I think we were just lucky that we got to see all of them,
Yeah.
And we got to see some of the, like those lions hunting on that wildebeest, and then those lionesses going after the zebra, and all those were pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And that leopard, with the gazelle on the tree and all that. That was.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you all for joining.
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nita. That was awesome.
Thank you, Nita. Beautiful.
Welcome.
An awesome presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Your commitments, you did this. So thank you so much, Nita.
Absolutely.
Really
No
appreciate
problem.
it. And please wish
Okay.
a very happy Father's Day, and thank you for his pictures also.
Happy Father's Day,
Happy
everyone.
Father's Day. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye.